Good evening, good folk. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. And surprise, surprise, no, there's no live sale tonight. It is Monday night, and I conduct my live sales every other Monday night, the first and the third Monday of the month. Now, this month we have an extra Monday. And that means that 1 week from tonight, be having a live sale right here on the OCS. And I'll be giving you a preview video at some point this week to let you know what I'm going to be selling next Monday night. But let's see who's here. Just say hello to a few folks. Good evening, everyone. I am broadcasting from the living room of the 1925 bungalow, as usual. And so I'm just greeting everyone as you're coming in. I just want to chit-chat tonight about one or two little things here, and I would ask you to pardon my normally northeastern nasally voice, but it's maybe a little more nasally than normal because the old sinuses are back again. Back again. Hello, South Carolina. And I'm glad you're here. Once again, not selling anything tonight, just gonna chit-chat. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this clock that you hear ticking behind me right there. Now, the old family mantle clock is always ticking, but this guy, that's a new addition. And I can't wait to talk a little bit about this clock and some mistakes that could be easily made if trying to identify that clock. Someone is asking me for a P.O. box. I haven't got one, but it is my plan to do that. And so I appreciate you asking for that, but at the moment there isn't one. That might be coming soon. I'm going to try to catch some of the comments as they're flying through there. Hi, everyone, and welcome. So we're going to talk about that clock. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about where I'm getting some of my information on how to accurately recreate a 1920s and 30s interior, especially when it comes to window treatments and surface choices, paint choices, and thus and such, and also furniture arrangement and furniture placement. Now, I've been studying the period of the 1920s and 30s for quite some time. And when you look at the color palette of that era, it may seem garish to today's eyes, especially, well, I have to say, the trends in the last 10 to 15 years look a little bit like hotel rooms. Maybe not that warm, maybe not that inviting, but that's just my taste. And so when you look at a room such as the room that I'm in now, and you see all these jewel tones in the slag glass lamp, and you see draperies that don't match the Persian carpet, which you can't see, and you can't see the beautiful blue upholstery, mohair upholstery on this club armchair that I'm sitting in. And then you look at prints on the wall and other pieces of furniture. Nothing seems to match. Well, we didn't have matchy in those days. In fact, well, you could buy living room, you could buy, well, in the old days, parlor furniture. You could get parlor furniture with matching upholstery. Okay. Into the 20s and 30s, of course, you could. If you went out and bought, typically you would get a Davenport and then a nice big club chair and then another easy chair, little smaller than the big club chair. And sometimes the cushions would have a different upholstery than the backs of the chairs. You saw that a lot in the 1930s. But you also, in the 20s, especially the 1920s, you saw a great deal of jewel tones and just vibrant colors, different types of upholsteries. So you could have mohair and you could have damask and you could have brocades and there would be colorful prints on the wall and intricate Persian carpets and not quite the clutter of the Victorian era, but certainly lots of furniture pieces and very, very different from what we see today. And so when I give you the grand tour, I shouldn't say grand, I just elevated this modest place. When I give you the tour, you'll see that furniture is not shoved up against the wall. Now, furniture was placed, the juxtaposition of tables and lamps and chairs, and it was very different in the 20s, especially the 1920s. When you go back and you look at the old advertisements and the decorating magazines, well, they didn't have decorating magazines. You would have furniture placed at all different kinds of jaunty angles and tables in the middle of the floor and chairs turned catty corner and sideways and whatnot. And there was much more creativity in those days, I think, than we have today in most cases. So almost ready to give you sort of the tour of the place, but not quite. Still working on this and that and the third. I've got light fixtures, which I have not put in place yet. But let me show you two references that I'm using to help me out. And I know I'm not really reading the comments right now. I'm running my lips. I'm going to show you two references that I've got here. And then something exciting that I purchased quite a while ago and forgot that I had. Let me have a sip. Whew, I took two spoonfuls of horseradish to clear these sinuses, I'm telling you. Any of you have that issue? Let's see what you're asking me, and then I'll show you. You're going to get a little bit of a tour. We'll get to that. I appreciate that. Well, no, I have not had my pretzels. I'm not ready to do any snacking. I thought I better not do any snacking. The lamp, I think I've talked about this lamp before, so I don't wish to beat a dead horse. I don't really like that expression, so I shouldn't have used it, because I don't like the expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I will retract that I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but it is a slag glass lamp, and it is somewhat unusual with the mixture of all of these jewel tones, and that's what attracted me to it, and with its original finish. I've never really even turned it upside down to see if it's signed. It's probably not. It's not anywhere near the workmanship or the quality of a Handel lamp or even the Miller Lamp Company or Bradley and Hubbard or anything like that. So, but I appreciate you asking me about it. So, would you like to know what I discovered downstairs in the basement after I unpacked some boxes? Well, I had told you that my plan was to install a picture rail very close to the ceiling. Now I've got 8-foot ceilings here. This is a very modest 1925 house. It has lath and plaster, of course, as you know. And when I moved in, or before I moved in, there was so much damage to the plaster ceiling that at some point it had been popcorned in the 1980s. You can go back and dig through the videos and you can see, oh, that popcorn had to go. Well, as you know, the popcorn is gone. And so in redoing the ceiling, I was able to do a lot of close examination where the walls meet the ceiling, and I was able to come to the conclusion that there was never, ever any picture rail actually installed in this house. Number one, if there had been, it probably would have never been taken down. It would have been a major deal to take all this picture rail down if someone wanted to do that. There wouldn't really be any reason to do it. And if it had been taken down, if you look closely, there would have been ghost marks where the plaster had been repaired, and these walls had not been repainted in quite some time. Now, when I bought the home, I'm actually only, wait a minute, let me make sure. 1, 2, I'm the third owner of the home. The original owners who built the house in 1925 sold it the year that I was born, in 1967. And I bought the home off of the folks who bought the home in 1967. Now, I was able to quiz them about some things. Anyway, enough about that. There never was picture rail, picture molding. Yes, I could have put it back up, but then I decided I don't want to fuss with it. You can hang pictures on plaster walls. You gotta know how to do it. You can't hammer a nail into a plaster wall and hang a picture. And so I'm telling you all of this to tell you that pictures are hung, as you can see, and shelving. And I did not put picture rail up. I didn't want all the wires hanging down. I thought it would be too fussy. And I chose my artwork carefully. And I knew that when you put when you hang pictures on plaster walls, if you do it right, you won't damage the plaster. Now, I already knew that because in my 20s, was it my 20s? I rented a house with plaster walls in horrible condition. And the landlord said, you can do whatever you want. Well, I'll tell you what, the landlord should have given me the deed to the house because I left it 5 times. The condition in which I left it was 5 times better than the condition in which I found it. Telling you this to tell you, I have repaired plaster walls. You drill a hole with a certain type of a bit, yeah, to get through the plaster. And then when you hit the lath behind it, you have to change drill bits. This is how I do it. And then there's a special anchor that you put in the wall, and you can do it. Now you say, yeah, but now you've got holes. Well, you've got holes in drywall, and you can repair the little tiny holes in a plaster wall. It's not that difficult. I've done it. So the point is, I decided, get to the point. The point is, I decided I'm going to go ahead and hang the artwork, not fuss with all the picture rail and all the wires hanging down and thus and such. Having said that, I need something, yeah, at the top of the walls before we hit the ceiling. Aha. They did wallpaper borders in those days. Now, I didn't wallpaper anything out here, but I thought, what about a nice little old-fashioned wallpaper border? You know, they're only about 1.5 inches in width, and it trims off the whole perimeter of the ceiling, the wall before you hit the ceiling. Well, I went digging through my boxes in the basement, and lo and behold and lo, look at what I found. Now let me check my comments for a moment. Hello, Vintage Conversations. Oh, let me move up in this chair. Donna, I think you're gonna like it. To quote lyrics from the musical Annie, I think I'm gonna like it here, she sang when she got to Daddy Warbucks' house. Let me show you. Well, thank you, Poodle. Let me tell you something, Poodle. You are something else. You know what I'm talking about. I finally got to the post office. Don't you worry. It's lovely, and I was very warm. Delightfully warm. I don't want to embarrass you, but you know how special. I can't tell you. And I've got other things. If you're watching and you think, well, he hasn't said anything about me, I'm going to get to you. I have to tell you about this. I haven't even told you about this yet. Do you know that someone made these for me? I wasn't going to do this, but I just opened it. They're here on the floor. Well, I better go ahead and do it now that I'm here. Wait a minute. Let me see. Janet. Elderly Poodle sent me a wonderful, I think I looked so pitiful the other day out there on that porch. I looked like some old, well, when it was cold and I had my gloves on with the fingers cut out and the hood over top of me. Miss Poodle sent me a wonderful throw, and it's delightful. It's warm. I should show that off, but it's in the other room. But look what Janet made. That's a placemat. And Janet, I hope I need to write to you. I don't know if she's watching. Look at that. So I'm very appreciative. It was very kind-hearted. And thank you. And I will use. You better believe it. It wasn't that nice. My mother makes this kind of thing, but she makes washcloths and dishcloths. And here I've got pot holders. I better get a stove. I still don't have a stove in this house. Anyway, that's not what I was planning on doing, but it was very nice. The color is perfect. Susie, it was such a nice thing for her to do that, and I appreciate it. You're making pillowcases? Very kind people. Very kind. And generous. Well, let me tell you what I found in the basement. But I'm going to need your help. I found 5 boxes. Now hold on. Let's see how much you get. One roll is 12 feet. Now, I need more than 5 boxes. I need 1 more box. I'm going to show it to you. If I can find 1 more, I can go all the way around the perimeter of the living room and the dining room. Now, by 1925, the word parlor had disappeared from regular use. That's right. I believe it was the publisher Edward Bach, who worked at the Curtis Publishing in Philadelphia, married Mrs. Curtis, and then the Curtis Institute of Music. Edward Bach coined the phrase living room in the Ladies' Home. I believe it was the Ladies' Home Journal. He was the editor. And this was sometime in the teens. I have to go back and look it up. I don't remember now. Now I'm really getting off topic. And so he wrote editorials about how ridiculous is this stuffy front parlor that's only opened up for a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon. You know, you can only get in there if somebody dies or if the preacher comes or, you know, to play the pump organ and sing Bringing in the Sheaves for an hour on Sunday afternoon. And you can't touch anything and it's uncomfortable. And this was this shift. And it happened, it started happening in the late teens. World War II is over. The doughboys come home. Bad economic slump in 1920, but the 20s begin to roar. And we're dancing the foxtrot and we're rolling back the carpets. And women are bobbing their hairs and getting rid of their corsets. And we've got the 40-hour work week and we've got leisure time and we've got pocket spending money and things begin to change. And the stuffy Victorian parlor is gone. And when you go into all of the magazines of, well, certainly 1925, and you look at the house plans, the word parlor is gone. It's now living room. Now, the word parlor lived on with the old folks, and I know that firsthand because my father would go and visit his grandmother in the summertime. She was an old woman. She was born in the 1890s. When he would visit her in the 1950s as a boy, you know, she would still refer to her front room as a parlor. So you still heard the old folks use old terms. But in the 1920s, parlor, gone. Where was I? No, see that? I got off on I was trying to tell you something. Isn't that terrible? Run your mouth and you don't remember? Hold on. It's got to come back. It's up there. What? Oh, the wallpaper. That's what I was going to... Yes, the wallpaper. Yes, thank you. Whoever told me, whoever got me back on track. Thank you. The wallpaper. Huh? Yeah, that's right. Okay, the wallpaper. Now, what I've got is Kem-Tone trims, right? Now, people did this in the 1930s and 40s. Look at what I've got. I've got 5 rolls of this. Look at that. I'm just going to hold it there and wait and see if you're looking at this. Can you see this? I've got 5 rolls. This is the old this is old stock. All right, this ain't no reproduction. That's the real thing. You see that? All right, take a look at it. Did you just go perfect? I can't I'm trying to see what you're saying, and I'm trying to get you to see it. I know it. Yes. Wicked nice, Wordsmith. Wordsmith, I just put your stuff in the mail today. I promise you, everybody, if you've been waiting, your stuff is in the mail. Ooh, it's in the mail. Look at that. Now remember, this doesn't have to match anything. The colors don't have to match the paint, and it doesn't have to match the curtains, and it doesn't have to match the upholstery, because stuff didn't match in those days like people think things have to match today. So I've got, now here's where I need your help. I've got enough of it, but I'm going to fall short. I need one more box. Now look, before you start trying to look for it, the pattern is number 310. Look right here. All right. It's Kem, Kem-Tone, Kem-Tone. Look at the little man there putting it up. All right. And it was 20 cents. Can you imagine that? But the kicker is the pattern number is 310. Now, if I can't find any, I already know what I can do. I can take this to a good print shop and get fine, high-quality photocopies made. Yeah, so I can do that. And I'm only going to fall short. I probably only need about an extra, maybe 9 feet to do the bay window. I can do everything but the bay window. And when I put the valance up, the valance will not go all the way to the ceiling. So I've got to do it in there. So if I can't find the real thing, I'm going to have to go out and get a good, photocopy reproduction of it. And that's what I would put sort of above, but see, this is block painted, and you can actually see, well, if you get really picky, you would know. But, probably nobody would ever really know the difference, right? What are you telling me? That's what you were thinking? Yeah. Yeah, the bay window would be the perfect place. If I have to copy it, I think you're right. No, eBay doesn't have it. I already looked. eBay, unless you found, did you find trim number 310? Because I already went on eBay. Now, how come everybody's saying eBay has it? Does it? Yeah, but when I looked on eBay, they have trim, but it's brown. And I couldn't find number 310. Get out of the city. Somebody found it? $35 for one roll. Are you kidding? Now, wait a minute. You found this. By golly, I did an eBay search and I couldn't find it. What on earth? You think somebody just listed it? Well, it was Get out of town. Poodle, did you hear me? Thank you for my throw. I'm trying to see. Kem-Tone 310. Boy, I'll tell you what, I need to end this video right now and go buy that. Is there one roll left? Yeah, they made paint in the 40s. Yeah, they did. Hi, Tina. Are you kidding me? Now, how come I didn't see it? I see a different pattern on eBay as well. When I looked on eBay, the pattern I found was brown. It was ugly. I couldn't find, and I even put in Kem-Tone 310 and it didn't come up for me. Why did it come up for you and not me? Huh? It's a different pattern. That's what I thought, Lisa. I didn't see it either. Thank you, Dee. Who out there said they found it on eBay? Now, I didn't look on Etsy or anything like that. Come on, everybody. It has to be pattern 310. That's right. I only saw the ugly brown. Somebody's playing tricks on me. I didn't see it on eBay. Huh? Oh, but it ended. Okay, so you found 310, but it's already sold. Aha. Okay, well, it's out there somewhere. Oh, it was already sold. Hey, Alicia, your stuff is in the mail. I know you wrote to me and said, where is it? It's because it's a gift or something. It's coming. If you didn't get it yet, you'll get it today, or you'll get it tomorrow or the next day. It was sold to somebody called Mama Bear. Hold up the box. All right. One more time. It's Kem-Tone. And it's number 310. That's 310 is what this print is. And I need one more roll of this. Now, you know, if I go to the trouble of putting this border up around this wall, around this ceiling, they're going to have to carry me out of here kicking and screaming. Anyway, listen, I'll tell you what, folks. If anybody ever finds one more roll of this, well, that was that was what I wanted to tell you about. Was the trim I need to go get. I've got one little bit of, there's just a little bit of Folgers left in there. You can't even see it. One gulp and it's already cold. Anyway, I told you I'm going to talk to you about this clock. I know it's got sold. Well, what I'm going to do, and I don't know, a lot of you know that you can do this. You can type in what you're looking for, and you put in this alert. And then so the minute it's listed, you get a notification that what you're looking for has been listed. Did you guys know you could do that? So I need to do that. I need to put that in there. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to go ahead and install it. What say you? Should I do it? Put it up and forget the chair, forget the picture rail. The pictures are already up. Well, I can't see it. Yeah, I can't put it in half of the room. The problem with because I've got enough of it to do the whole house except the bay window. And I'm not, it will look dumb if I don't, it's got to go all the way around. I know, you see it in every pattern except the one. It's sold, yeah. Well, I'll find it. All right, let's move on. Let's drop that. Okay. Now, one of the, I'm gonna talk curtains for a minute. Now, When I put my curtains up in this living room, here they are. Curtains, drapes, whatever. These are from the 30s. We've already talked about that, and you've already seen it. You can go back and see. Very typical. All right. You can't see here, but when I put these up, I put my tie backs, yeah, 1/3 of the way down from the top, instead of in the middle, and instead of 1/3 from the bottom. Well, I had people jump all over me for that. That's wrong. That doesn't look right. You're going to want to change that. People went on and on and on and on. Well, it is a matter of taste. You might not like it that way, but it is certainly historically accurate. And I'm going to show you why. Here in my popular home decoration book, now look at this. This is Popular Home Decorations. And I've had this for a long time, and this came out in the 30s. There's a whole section in here on how you can do your window treatments, and I want to show you that it's actually perfectly acceptable to have your tie backs very high and 1/3 from the top. And we're going to take a look right here. I'll read it to you, and then I'll show it to you. It says, it is also correct to loop them just above the middle of the window. So above the middle of the window is 1/3 of the way down, and you'll see right here, this is the way I chose to do my windows in the living room, right here. So this is how I've done mine. I want you to see that. Right? That's 1/3 of the way down. That's halfway. And let's see. A lot of folks are accustomed, well, there's no picture in here, but once again, this is the way I'm hanging. This is the way I put my curtains here in the living room, just like that. So it's absolutely 100% historically correct. And one of the reasons why I did that, not only is it historically correct to do it, this is a long, skinny house, not a shotgun, but it's a long rectangular room. Rectangular rooms can be very difficult to furnish. And I've only got windows on one side, and they happen to face the north. What does that mean? No sun. No direct sunlight. I don't even hardly get any indirect sunlight. So the higher up the tie backs go, the farther out sort of the swag of the drapes, the more light you get. So I'm letting in more light by having it higher, and it's also perfectly historically correct to do it that way, even though that's not normally seen today. And if you're going by what your mother did in the 1970s, you might say that doesn't quite look right. And I know it's a matter of taste, but also practicality. So this book has been a wonderful reference, and there's everything in here from furniture placement to how to choose. Oh, I don't even know where to begin. But if you're an interior designer or someone who likes vintage homes, a book like this, and when I say vintage, hold on, vintage this era, vintage 1930s, and that's when this book was done, in the 1930s. Now here's an interesting, I'm going to show you two photographs. And they're in black and white, so they're a little bit difficult to see. But I'll read the caption and then I'll show you one of the photographs. It says, This is what happens to a room when it is neglected. It is drab and discouraging and would do nothing to stimulate gaiety or cheer. Now, I have to agree with that. Let's take a look at this room. It's classic early 1920s. Study that room for a moment. Classic early 1920s. Just go ahead and study it. Actually, you know, I kind of like that room. Matter of fact, it almost looks like the room I'm sitting in right now. Yeah. But it's funny, the caption underneath that just Doug, that just described your room, drab. Is that your room? Is it drab? Does it not stimulate gaiety or cheer? Well, anyway, that's the room. Isn't that a wonderful description? All right, now let's see how they remodeled it. Now, that was circa 1921. Now let's see a mid-30s interpretation of the same room. Here's the same room, inexpensively pepped up with creamy yellow wallpaper, coral chintz, and rearranged furniture. The effect of the change on the family was worth the effort involved. Well, I'll tell you what, if they got more gaiety and cheer out of their newly remodeled room, good for them. That's the old one, drab, which I kind of like. And there it is, remodeled in the 1930s. Take a look. Look at that. Study it for a minute. I'll hold it still. Yeah. Now, it's a shame it's not in color. Yeah. You know, but nothing matches. Nothing's the same color. Yeah. Okay. So before, the drab look. Yeah, I like them both too, Big Spiderbeck. The before and the after. Anyway, I'm not trying to recreate a museum. I use everything. And when people come over, you can sit on anything. The house is meant to be used. There's no rope over top of chairs, and I don't walk around, oh, don't touch that, don't sit on that, don't put that glass down. No, it's lived in. But I thought you would enjoy that. Did you enjoy that? Last thing I'm going to do is tell you about this clock. Well, I don't see anybody saying anything. I finished my coffee. Let me get this out of the way and this out of the way. And then we're going to talk about this clock. You're going to put the plastic on the furniture. You know I am not going to put plastic on my furniture. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, my word. This is heavy. What did Donna say that you agree with? Oh, excuse me. What did everybody had for dinner? I like the clock too. Hydrangeas on the north side. Well, there are going to be hydrangeas because I like hydrangeas a lot. That reminds me. Oh, you had leftovers. Ramen noodles. Mary Beth, come on, that's not enough. You're going to be peckish. Oh, pork chops, my favorite. Did you put sauerkraut with it? I did shrimp again in my air fryer. I'm telling you what, I'm loving that air fryer. Dave, you bought a clarinet. I am excited. Listen, I've picked up my cornet again, and I'm going to get my embouchure back. If I can, you can. We're going to have a klezmer night together. Should we do that? Or would you rather have polka? Steak and bake? Oh, you went to Olive Garden. What kind of sandwich? Oh, you're going too fast. I can't tell you what I can't see it. The purple sauerkraut. Of course, I love red cabbage. Oh, sauerkraut. What about ham and cabbage? Do you guys like ham and cabbage in the crock pot? All right, anyway. Look at this. Now, let me tell you. I bought this like 4 days ago at Goodwill, right here in Jersey. I paid less than $10 for it. It is a heavy cast iron clock. Now, I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to zoom in on it. You can hear it ticking. Now, I want you to notice there's no mark on the front. A lot of times, frequently, clocks are signed on the front by the maker. Ansonia, right? Ingram. The various clock companies that were, quite a few were in Connecticut. So we've got nothing on the face. I hear you, Mantle Clock. We've got it's jealous. We've got nothing on the face of this clock. All right. Now, when we turn it around to the back, we've got nothing on the back. What to do? All right, let's look at the cast iron and see if we can find a foundry mark. But that's probably not going to do us any good because undoubtedly the foundry wouldn't have made the clock work. Would have been two different factories. Well, all I find is a number, probably a model number, back here on the cast iron. What do we do? Well, you Google image search it. No, you don't. You start out going through your books. And I started out in The World's Greatest Clocks and Watches by Cedric Yeager. Wasn't in there. No problem. Then I turned to my American Clock, a comprehensive pictorial survey, 1723 to 1900, by William H. Diston and Robert Bishop. Went through that. Nothing. So there's nothing on the face. There's no foundry mark on the cast iron. If I take this can out of here, I'll probably find inscribed or embossed on the brass works, and I have not done that. I'm probably going to find who the maker is of the actual mechanism. All right, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, when we study the case, we can see it's a Renaissance Revival case, typical of Renaissance Revival design. And what I love is it's never been overpainted. Look at the old dust that's down there in the nooks and crannies. You don't want to clean that out. We like that old dust. You know, that's what we love. Now, somebody asked, are the Roman numerals in correct order? Good question. They are. And all we have to do is turn the clockwork this way. As you see, it'll just pop right out of there. In fact, I've just popped it right out of there. Now what's missing is the glass over the top. Now on a wristwatch, it's called a crystal. But normally on these old clocks, it was just a glass face. Convex. Is it convex? Yeah, right? So no worries, I can get the glass. This is, so the bezel, there was no, the way this fits into this, here's the other reason why you know this was made by some foundry and this clock was made by another company. There's no bezel on a hinge that swings open and shut. This would have had a glass dome, and all you would need to do is to just stick it into the cast iron. So when we pull this off, and I've not, as I said, it's a one-day clock. You've got to wind it every day. And so I can't take it out until I take the winder off. But as you can see, nothing. Well, interestingly enough, if you just go on the internet and start looking for pictures, you will find this clock, same sort of late Victorian Renaissance Revival cast iron case, and you'll find a clock with the same face, and printed on it is the name A.L. Swift. A.L. Swift, Chicago, I think. Okay, here's why you can't stop there. Here's why you can't just do a Google image search. Oh, I found it. It's made by A.L. Swift, Chicago. Somebody must have just erased the name off of yours because I found the same clock. No, there wasn't any clockmaker named A.L. Swift. Well, let's get sidetracked for a moment. I wrote to my friend out in Arizona who has his own channel, and it is called Time for Clocks. I've told you about his channel before, and we were chatting back and forth, and we came to the same conclusion. The guts, the mechanism, is made by West Clocks. Yeah. They were prolific in millions of clocks. And what was true at that time, and if you go, now on his channel, at Time for Clocks, he is the clock expert, not me. He did a lot of research and he does a big explanation, and he did a lot of research on this. And boy, I'll tell you what, I love the depth that he's willing, I like the extent that he is willing to go to really get to the answer. Clocks would often be bought from a retailer, from a manufacturing company like West Clocks. Let's say a fancy jeweler in Philadelphia, Bailey Banks and Biddle. Anybody around here knows Bailey Banks and Biddle? That was one of the premier jewelers, as well as Caldwell in Philly. They would buy clocks from manufacturers and have their name put on the front. Well, Bailey Banks and Biddle never made a clock, but you'll find clocks out there that say Bailey Banks and Biddle on the front, because fancy jewelry stores in those days sold clocks. And it's the retailer name. So when you go online and you do a Google image search and you find this and it says it's either AL or AI, I think AL Swift. That's just a novelty company. That's a company that sold novelties, but not a clockmaker. So this one has nothing on it. Well, whatever the foundry was that made this cast iron base bought the clockworks from West Clocks and stuck them in their bases, frames, and marketed them and sold them. And I don't know the foundry on this. I wish I did, but I just don't know. There were a lot of foundries in Pennsylvania that did work like this. So the A.L. Swift Chicago is the retailer, but not the maker. And I've had clocks that say Caldwell on the front, Philadelphia. And the clocks were made in Germany. But the Caldwell was the jeweler in Philadelphia who bought enough of these clocks from the German company, sold the clocks in their store with their brand name on it. But when you open up the clock, it's a German movement. So this is a one-day clock. The mechanism itself is very inexpensive. They made alarm clocks. This one doesn't even have an alarm on it. And again, not very practical because you've got to wind it every single day. It's a one-day clock. But it's a really beautiful, heavy cast iron base in the late Victorian Renaissance Revival style. And so I'll put it all back together again, and I'm going to get myself a glass dome to cover the front, glass cover for the front. We'll get it all put back together again, and I'll probably sell it eventually because I don't need another clock. And now let me stand this thing up to where it doesn't fall over and break anything. We'll put the innards back in. Probably if I pull the clock out of this can, I'm going to see that it's signed by West Clocks. Now, if you get a chance, go over, and I guess I'll probably have to put his link here. And I want to thank Ab because he did a lot of extensive research on it, and his scholarship is superb. I'm also going to be shipping to that same dude the clock that I found in the basement. You remember Margaret's house, the old Philly row house? There was a poor old clock that was smashed to pieces. And it's now in my basement, but I'm going to box it up and send it out to Ab and let you know when he's going to tackle the restoration of that clock. And you can sort of just maybe jump, if you're interested, you can then jump over there and watch that channel and see what Ab is going to do as he tries to restore that clock. You do remember that clock. Well, what's funny is when I went to the Goodwill store, they had a dishwasher murdered Pyrex bowl locked up in the display cabinet for $39, but an 1890s original cast iron Renaissance Revival clock was on the shelf for, what did I pay? It was less than 10 bucks. So the bargains are out there. You can find them if you're not afraid to go digging around. Well, that's it. I just wanted to talk to you about curtains and wallpaper border and a little bit about that clock. And, you know, don't forget, now where did I go and put, oh, here it is. We'll end with this. I'm going to ask you to come and join me a week from tonight. Next Monday night will be my third live sale this month. You get a third one this month. But this week, tomorrow or the next day, I'll have the preview video up to show you the things that I'm going to be selling next Monday night. And remember, I go live at 8 o'clock. I start selling by 8:10. And I stop selling at 10 p.m. and we fly through it. We had a good time the last time, and I hope you'll guys. Oh, I have picked some stuff for you to see. But before I say goodnight to everybody, and just remember now, somebody, the comments go by so quickly. I think somebody said that somewhere out there, maybe on Etsy, I don't know, you might have been able to find the number 310 Kem-Tone trim. If you found it, will you leave me a message in the comment box below? Give it a minute, because when I sign off, YouTube does something, I don't know. They check to make sure I didn't use any cuss words or something. And then about 20 minutes later, the video goes up and you can leave a comment. So if you found it somewhere, will you let me know? I need one more box. It's on Poshmark. I don't even think I've ever, so I got to go find it. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for hanging out and chit-chatting a little bit on Monday night. And if you ordered something from me on eBay or one of the last sales, I promise you the stuff is in the mail. And you should either have received it yesterday, today, tomorrow, or very soon. Thanks, folks, and I'll say goodnight. Woo! Time to take a little more raw horseradish for these sinuses, and I'm going to hit the sack. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, saying thanks for watching. Wait for the cat. And so long for now. Bye.